Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Srinivasa Biology Tutorial. For this section to discuss in first year NCERT Volume 1, the chapter 8, Cell, the Unit of Life. See, in this section to discuss here what is exactly cell. Cell is a basic unit of all living organisms. It is the basic unit of any living organism. Any living organism. When you look around, you see both living and non-living things. You must have wondered and asked yourself, what is it that makes an organism living, or what it is that as inanimate things does not have which the living things has? The answer to has this the presence of the basic unit of life. The cell is all living organisms. So you take as any particular living organism, they consist of what? The cell is present. Now all living organisms composed of cell. For example, you take as any one particular cell. For example, you take as any particular cell, the cell that composed of a number of organelles. It is composed of as in the number of the organelles as present. Like, see that organism, for example, this cell, they're composed of number of organelles. They're composed of number of organelles. Like, for example, the cell consists of all living organisms composed of cell. Some they are composed of a single cell. Those are called as any unicellular organisms. Otherwise, like as any composed of in many cells is called as any multicellular. If in case one cell is present, that is called as any unicellular, and they contain as any many cells is called as what? Multicellular organism. Now, what is a cell? Now, to discuss what is a cell. See, here the unicellular organism, they are capable of the first one, the independent existence, and the second one is performing the essential functions on their life. So these are the major functions of any particular cell. Okay, now the anything the less than is complete structure of the cell does not ensure the independent of living. Hence, the cell is in a fundamental structure and functional unit of all living organisms. Just before only we discussed that one. Here, each and every cell they're composed of what? In a different organelles. Okay. Now, basically the cell that first discovered by the scientist Anthony von Leeuwenhoek was the first saw and described the live cell, and Robert Brown to discover as the nucleus. Robert Brown to discovered as the nucleus. Now, the invention of the microscope and their improvement, leading the electron microscope, they related to all the structural details of this cell. Next, after when you get as in that developed as in the related as microscope, now they are proposed as in cell theory. They are proposed as what? In a cell theory. Now, here what is the cell theory? See, here the cell theory that first 1838. In 1838, the Matthew student as well as was the German botanist that examined a large number of the plant cells observed, and plant cells are composed of different kinds of the cells which forms as a tissues of the plant. About that same, in Theodore Schwann, he was the British zoologist. Here in 1839, the British zoologist studied about as in different types of that animal cells and reported the cells had as in that outer layer, it is known as any plasma membrane. So one particular cell, you take as any one particular cell, the cell composed of as in one layer like structure is present. This layer is called as what? It is in a plasma membrane. It is plasma membrane. He concluded based on his studies on the plant tissues that the presence of the cell wall and the characters of the plant cells. So here the plasma membrane he see as the both plant cells as well as animal cells. Now, on the basis of this Schwann the proposed as a hypothesis that bodies of the animal and plants that composed of the cell and produce of cell. So you take as any one particular plant cell or animal cell, they're composed of as a number of the cell organelles as present here. So these are completely, it is present in both plant cells as well as in animal cells. Now the Sweden has found together they formulated the cell theory. So in these two scientists, they're completely together to give as one hypothesis for the about as in a cell theory. Okay. Now this cell theory is however did not explain about how the new cells were formed. So for example, here one cell is present. In this cell to get gives rise to produce as a two daughter cells. So that both scientists, these two daughter cells, how to they are coming, they are not explained. Is the how the new cells are forming, they are not explained. That time the scientist was Rudolf Virchow. The scientist was the Rudolf Virchow in 1855. He was they explained about as the cells are divided, the new cells formed from the pre-existing cells, like as in the unicellular e-cellular. The scientist was the Rudolf Virchow. He explained about as in the cells are comes from as in a pre-existing cell. Cells comes from pre-existing cell, like as in a unicellular e-cellular. He modified as in a hypothesis of the Sweden and Schwann to give the cell theory the final shape. The cell theory understood today is the first one is all living organisms composed of cells, the composed of the cells and products of the cell. So all living organisms are composed of cells, composed of as in a cells as well as product of the cell. And the second one is the cells are arise from pre-existing cells. Cells comes from pre-existing cells. Now, after to discuss what is overview of cell, to discuss now an overview of cell. See, now you have earlier observed the cell in a onion peel or human cheek. The cells under the microscope, you notice. Let us recollect the structure. The onion, which is typical plant cell, has in a distinct cell walls, as it is the outer boundary and just within the cell membrane. So you take as any one particular the plant cell, the first they having as what? They completely has in the cell wall is present. They having as what? Cell wall is present. It is the outer boundary like structure. It has in the cell, the outermost membrane is present, that is called as in a cell membrane is present. Now, in the cell of the human cheek have outer membrane, it is in a deleting structure of the cell. So you take as in one particular the animal cell, you take as in one particular animal cell, here the outer layer is completely they are absent, means they are completely absent. Cell wall is almost present. Here the animal cells, the cell wall is absent. Here the cell wall is absent. Here absent. Here present. Plant cell is present. Okay. Yeah. Now, the inside of the each cell, the dense membrane bound structure is called as a nucleus. So inside they having as a bone membrane, the structure is present. That structure is called as what? Nucleus. That is called as what, ma'am? Nucleus. This nucleus consists of as any chromosomes with as a turn contain as a genetic material. Or then as a part of the DNA. Once you check this one, it is to get completely helical structure. It is completely one helical structure. It is a part of nothing but as what? The nucleus contains as a genetic material, that is a DNA. The cells has a membrane bound. The nuclei is called as in the nuclei are called eukaryotic, whereas in a cell the lack of membrane bound organelle nucleus are in a prokaryote. So here the completely the nuclei is present on the eukaryotic character, the prokaryote does not they are present. The both prokaryotic and eukaryotic semi-fluid matrix is called as cytoplasm. So you take as in both the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells, here compulsory the present of what? The cytoplasm is present. Now, the cytoplasm is occupies the volume of the cell. The cytoplasm is in the arena of the cellular activities of both the plant and animals. So, here inside of the cell, the total here the total cytoplasm they do as in a major function. The various chemical reactions occurs keep in the cell within the living state. So within the cytoplasm, the number of chemical reactions also takes place. Okay, and then next, beside the nucleus, the eukaryotic cells has any the other membrane bound organelle structures as present. Those are called as any other organelles. They're called as what? Organelles, like as an endoplasmic reticulum, or Golgi apparatus, Golgi complex A, Golgi complex, lysosomes, mitochondria, microbodies, and vacuole. These are present as in the mostly eukaryotic cells. Present as in the eukaryotic cells. Now, see the prokaryotic cells, the lack of, such as in a membrane bound organelles as present. So, mostly the lack of the as present. Now, the ribosomes are the non-membrane bound organelles, the found in the all cells, both in eukaryotics as well as in prokaryotics. See here, the most of the ribosomes also present. The ribosomes as present as in both prokaryotes as well as in eukaryotes. Now, within the cell, the ribosomes are found not only in that cytoplasm but also within the two cell organelles, like as in a chloroplast as well as in a mitochondria. It's very important. Here, mostly the ribosomes as present as here the ribosomes mostly present as in a where first one is in a chloroplast and second one is a mitochondria. Then a mitochondria also they consist of as in what? Here the ribosomes as present. In the animal cell content as in another non-membrane bound organelles is present. Those are called as in a centrosomes, which help as in a cell division. So in the plant cell, how is there has a plastids. Here animals also they have one special feature is present, that is in a centrosome. They help as in a cell division. Now the cell differ greatly size, shape and activities. For example, like as in a mycoplasmas, the smallest cell around as in 0.3 here microneurons in the length of, while the bacteria so here the smallest organism like as in a mycoplasma, it could has in a 3 to 5 microneurons. Now largest isolated cell, that is in a what more ostrich egg. The largest cell, it is in a egg of ostrich. And among the multicellular organisms, the human red blood cells has in a 0.7. It is in a 0.7 microneurons in diameter. The nerve cells also some their longest cell can you as vary in greatly in their shape. Okay. Now here the disc shape, here mostly they may be the disc like polygonal and columnar and cuboid thread like structures. Even it is they get appear as a the shape of the cell, it is within the functions they are performed. So they having as different the shapes of the cells as present in the organism. Okay, this is in just introduction of the cell. The remaining to discuss in the next class. Thank you for watching.